Hey y'all, it's Crystal. Thanks so much for coming by today. It's that time of week for me. We're going to talk about my reading for this past week. So let's just dig right into it and start with what I finished this past week. So finished a few things. I did finally finish up the Served Cold Horrortube anthology, and I really liked this collection, honestly. Filled. I mean, it's a huge collection. There's tons of stories in here from all sorts of, horror tubers, here on YouTube, and yeah, really solid collection. Lots of really good stories in here, and majority featuring like cold weather settings and lots of spooky, creepy vibes. Yeah, all kinds of just different subgenres of horror represented throughout the stories, and yeah, honestly, a really solid anthology collection. And yeah, I was super impressed. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. I read a little thing about each story, but and I've kind of talked about those along the way. But the last few that I finished up were good. So yeah, solid collection. Would definitely recommend if you hadn't dug into this one yet, because it's good, and of course it's perfect for the winter time. So yeah, solid collection there. And then I had an audiobook. I listened to Hell Followed With Us by Andrew Joseph White. And I had this audio, I had it on hold from the library, so the hold came in. You know how I'm like, I'm not quite ready for you, but I guess I have to listen to you now because I've been waiting for like several months. so I went ahead and listened to it, and this was pretty good. I definitely really liked this one. So it is a post-apocalyptic kind of setting, and we're following our main character is a trans boy named Benji, and this world is super interesting. Actually, it seemed the world was kind of battling through some like climate issues, but then also this real kind of fundamentalist religious group like essentially created this virus and released it into the world to like sort of cleanse the world, because they know what's right? And it released this virus out into the world, and it turned people not necessarily like full-fledged zombies. They're not like ravenous running after you type of zombies, but they are kind of a mindless kind of unthinking kind of being that's left behind. I don't know if that makes sense, but it also it does, you will die at some point, but there also is some people, it affects people certainly in a different way, in which it like actually transforms their bodies into these sort of angel type creatures almost. And this religious group is looking to them as a sort of word of God kind of thing, bring about peace on the, I don't know, it's the whole thing. Like it's a whole thing. And so like I said, our main character is Benji, who's a trans boy who kind of escaped from this religious sect in the beginning of the book. He's kind of trying to run away, and then he gets kind of pulled into these group of survivors. They're out there in the world just trying to make it, because it's, food is scarce, water is scarce, all that kind of stuff. So people are struggling out there to try to survive. And of course, there's a lot of discussion around LGBTQ issues, of course, including trans. I really enjoyed this main character. I thought he was, he was just really interesting. You could see he struggled because he was grown up in this religious, in this religious group. So he felt, he was kind of indoctrinated in a way, like there was a pull of beliefs, and he's struggling, of course, with himself. And of course, when he came out as a trans boy, of course the community was just like, no, you're not. No, your name is, I forget the dead name now, but this, and you're gonna get married, and no, this is not who you are, because so Yeah, I just really liked it. There's a lot of good kind of body horror in here, pretty kind of brutal scenes in here, some some good old violence, and yeah, there's a lot going on in this story, and I would definitely recommend it. If it sounds like something you're interested in, if you like good post-apocalyptic kind of stories, I would say if you've got some religious trauma, you may just want to tread carefully, because some of that's a bit hard to take in here, but otherwise. Yeah, really, really good story. I thought it was really excellent. It is a YA story, but and I don't read a ton of YA books, but I'm not anti-YA at all. But I think this is a pretty important story, and was really well done. So it gets a recommendation from me. So, all right. So after that, I picked up another audiobook hold came in for Get a Life, Chloe Brown. So I got a little head start on my February TBR. I think I read this on like January 30th or something. And so this is one of my 23 books to read in 2023 as an ebook. But like I said, I went ahead and just pulled it up on audio. And yeah, this was really a lot of fun. This is a contemporary romance. It's part of the first book of a series that features the Brown sisters. Everybody and their mom, I think, knows this book by now. I'm really late, kind of late to the party on this one, but it was so cute. So the main character is Chloe Brown, and she is someone that deals with chronic pain. She has fibromyalgia, and it's a really big part of her life, and that's a really big part, and it's a really big part of this story, which I really appreciated. I thought that was done really well, but not in like an overly sympathetic way, but just in like, this is my life kind of way, to kind of help folks understand what that's like when you have a more kind of invisible, kind of disability. I thought that was really well done. But right there in the beginning of the book, she has this sort of brush with death. She's like almost gets ran over by this car. And so she's like, well, gosh, what if I really could have died? Like if I was like an inch closer, I could be dead right now. And so she like kind of has this little epiphany. Is like, oh gosh, what kind of life have I lived? And so she kind of makes this list of things to like get a life, essentially things that she wants to do, a little bucket list, I guess. And then she moves out. She ends up moving out of her family home. Gets an apartment, that kind of thing. And at the apartment, there's a man named Red. He's like the superintendent there. And at first, they don't kind of get along very well. They're kind of oil and water. He, sees her in a certain light and is, thinks she's maybe a little stuck up and snooty. But they get together, and he starts helping her with her little list, and then they fall in love. I mean, it's a romance, right? We know how this is going to end, but this was really sweet. Honestly, I really liked how the romance developed between Chloe and Red, because it wasn't this love at first sight. I mean, they definitely worked on it and built it up, to a believable, kind of love story. Yeah, and I don't know. Yeah, it was cute. If you're looking for a cute little romance and you've not read this one yet, I would definitely check it out. I definitely want to read the rest of the series to get the other sisters' stories, because they were in this story a little bit, and they seemed like a lot of fun. So yeah. So what was next? So that ended my January actually. Let's Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and so. I did finish my first book here in February, and it was I've been reading it for a little while, but I was reading it in January also. But The Edible Woman by Margaret Atwood. I absolutely loved this book. I loved this book, and I'm not a tabber, but I have underlined all sorts of and marked all kinds of paragraphs, and let's see, I'll just underline that whole section, and this whole paragraph's great. So I was pretty blown away by this, and I'm trying to think if I want to do like a separate book chat about it, but we'll talk a little bit about it here. But now this is Margaret Atwood's, I believe it is her first novel. It was published in 1969. And I feel like it was a bit ahead of its time for 1969. So we're following our main character is a young woman named Marion. She's kind of in her 20s. She's, graduated college, and she's working a job, that kind of thing. She lives in a little apartment with her roommate, and she has a boyfriend, and she's just kind of doing life, going through the day-to-day of life. And that's kind of the story. Really, is her going through the day-to-day of life. But what it really is, like, for me, what I took out of this was, of course, commentary on gender roles, of course, and the woman, sort of a woman's place. Can a woman have dreams beyond getting married and having children? Is that really, sort of her sole purpose? She gets to the point where I think she's starting to, like, question all of these things. Marion is, and she stops eating certain things. First it's like, ooh, steak. I just can't stand the sight of steak, and I can't eat it anymore. Ooh, I can't do that. And then, like, something else will go by the way. She's like, oh, I can't look at that anymore. Eggs, oh man, I can't. And so slowly she gets to the point where she can't stomach anything. The sight of food in general is just, it just turns her stomach. She can't even fathom putting it into her mouth for nourishment. And I think that's definitely, sort of a sorry, I'm looking for a sort of method of her trying to deal with this. I think there's definitely some depression going on, because she does end up getting engaged to this man that she's seen, and I think she's, like, seeing her life as it, like, will be, and she's not super jazzed about it, maybe because she knows what's expected of her. She's expected to get married and have children, because that's what women did in 1969, right? But is that really what she wants? And there's another character that comes in here named Duncan, who's this kind of young grad student who is a bit different. He sees the world a little differently, and she gets a little enraptured with him. And I don't know how else to explain this book, but I flippin' loved it. The writing is gorgeous. And yeah, so I may get some more thoughts together and do a little separate book chat about it. But yeah, I flippin' loved it. Loved this book. What? Okay, so that's what I finished, and so yeah, really pretty good week. Kind of books around all kind of genres and ran the gamuts of things I was reading this week. So, all right. So things I've got in progress. I did start some of my February folktale reads. I started The Merry Spinster, which is by Mallory Ortberg. This one's kind of some dark retellings of some fairy tales. I read the first story, which was called, I'll tell you what I call it now, The Daughter Sells. And this was really kind of felt like a Little Mermaid kind of retelling, but the daughters, in the Sea Kingdom, they have these little garden plots, which are the cells that they're talking about. But the main character, I forget the main lady's name now, but anyway, she goes off to get a human man, but she really is trying to go get him to take his soul and all that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit darker. Ariel, she's not, what I'm saying? So it's interesting, and it's a fun little story. So I'll continue on with that over the month, of course. And I did read one of the Grimm's fairy tale stories. I read a super short one called The Nail. I mean, it's literally it's that short. But it's actually a pretty good moral to it. There's a man in the beginning. He's riding he has his horse, and it's kind of loaded down with some cargo. And he's like, somebody's like, hey dude, your horse's hoof, not the hoof, but the horseshoe part, whatever, has a nail in it. You really should take care of that. He's like, I'll be afraid. It'll be fine. I'm almost home. I can make it. So I go, okay. So he makes another little stop. It's like, dude, the horseshoe's gone off this horse. Like, you need to really take care of this right now. I'll be fine. And then pretty soon, of course, like, the horse is just like not able to carry anything, and he has to carry all his stuff by himself. So basically, I think it's take care of your problems where they're small, because those small problems can become really large problems. So they packed quite a moral into those few paragraphs. So excuse me. That was fun. Of course, folktale. What's this not called? Folktale February. Folklore February. Sorry, Kat. It's hosted by Kat over at Kat's Novel Adventures. I'll link her below. And I'm having fun starting on my little folktales and fairy tales so far. Anything else I've got in progress? I've got Swan Song by Robert McCammon, and making some pretty good progress in it. I am listening to the audiobook for this one because this is 1,000,000 pages long, and really liking this so far. And I knew I would, but yeah, really enjoying this so far. So this is another kind of post-apocalyptic story. We've got a big nuclear event that's happened here in the beginning of the book that's wiped out, basically it seems like a lot of people. And we got little pockets of, people that we're following kind of over the country. There's a little pocket of folks in like New York City. There's a group that's kind of like near Kansas. And then there's those guys that are in like this bunker type place. I forget where that was. Was it near Texas? I can't remember now. But anyway, and I'm assuming that maybe they will converge at some point. I don't know, but we'll see. The audiobook I'm enjoying. It's kind of I forget the narrator, but he's got kind of this gravelly kind of voice, and it's a nice narration. So yeah, enjoying it so far. And so I'm about a quarter of the way through. I'm up to part 5, so I've made it through part 4. So yeah, I'm gonna keep plugging away for that next week, of course. And I also have in progress I Will Kill You by Halo Scott. I'm about a quarter of the way into this one. It's kind of more of a thriller type story, but a bit dark. It's got some darkness to it. We're following this guy who takes care of problems for you, but they're like probably illegal type problems. So in the beginning, this man calls him up for his services because he has killed this man and needs to dispose of a body, so he takes care of that for this guy. But he's also, this man has just lost his wife recently through a sickness, and so he's kind of dealing with some grief too, and he's got some kids also. It's kind of a strange dynamic. I've been wanting to check out Halo Scott's work for a while, and so I decided to start with this one, and yeah, I'm liking it so far, but still kind of early days with this one to kind of get to tell you much more about it, but so far so good. And of course today is the start of the Garbogus Wasted Weekend, the Garbogus 1.5 that Ali over Criminale has planned up for us. I think I'm gonna start with this one first. Controlling Interest by Janet Joyce. This is a Silhouette Desire romance, and yeah, it's pretty short, so I think I'll get through it, and so this should be fun. This is one Ollie sent me, so I'm gonna read it for this one. So I love this cover. And really, gosh, I think that's about it for the week. So yeah, pretty good week. We of course are watching The Last of Us like everyone else and absolutely loving it. Episode 3 has just killed us. Oh my god, we loved it so much, my husband and I. Oh man, we're loving it. Oh god, how good was that episode? Really loving that. I've been watching Ken Porsche. Have I talked about Ken Porsche? It's a new Thai show, not a new Thai show, but my new Thai show that I've been watching. My sister and I have been watching these Thai shows. I may have mentioned Ken Porsche already. I can't remember. So a few episodes into that, I'm loving it. It's fun. Oh, and I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I flippin' loved it. I'm going to be talking about that over on Steve Talks Movies channel on Monday night. So if you want to come have a listen, if you've watched it and want to hear us chat about it, definitely come join us on Monday night. I think we're doing 7 o'clock Eastern time, I think. But yeah, I'm looking forward to chatting about it. It was a phenomenal movie. Oh my god, it was so good. Okay, I think I've rambled. So let me know how your week has been, what you've been reading, what you've been watching, anything good, let me know. And yeah, that's gonna do it for me. Thanks for watching as always. I appreciate your time. I really do appreciate it. And until next time.